Hey everybody, it's Mike from The Mike Wagner Show. If you like The Mike Wagner Show and you want to make your own podcast, well, let me tell you about Anchor. First of all, it's free. Secondly, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. You can also add any song from Spotify directly to your episodes. The possibilities are endless. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you. You can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, many more. You can also make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios.
Hi, this is Mia Mosensia, also known as Mia No Time for Love. Check out my latest book, Missing, available in print and ebook formats on Amazon.
It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, iTunes, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Mike brings you great guests and interesting people from all across the globe. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another great episode of the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from The Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international war-winning author Mia Mosensia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Mosensia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is an illusion and those you love will be the first to go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Mosensia has garnered great reviews and even loved and endorsed by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today before it goes missing by Mia Mosensia, available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com on over 30 podcast platforms, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also, Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, Apple Music, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. T-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, tote bags, makes great gifts 24/7. Amazon.com. Check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Mosensia for great books like Missing, Once, and Wrinkles. Also cool merchandise, T-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, hoodies, phone cases, and more. Amazon.com/Mia Mosensia. Check it out today. Also support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Make sure you do so today. Well, here are the terrific gentleman who's a writer, TV, radio reporter, and producer who's called New York City, the Queens area, his home for over 30 years. Worked at a number of stations like WOR, WINS, WBGO, CNBC, also MSNBC, and a lot more. He also wrote hundreds of poems and has read them over a number of years at the famed Cornelius Street Cafe with famed classic composer, conductor, and multi-instrumentalist David Amorim, actor John Ventimiglia, and also a lot more. Ventimiglia, so talk about that. Poet Frank Messing, and he's also been a featured poet in Brooklyn Beat Laureates, Brooklyn Poetry Outreach in Park Slope, Brooklyn. He's got a new book of a collection of interconnected vignettes and of street level gays in Queens and New York City, offbeat tradition of Henry Miller, Charles Bukowski, in a 3-part novel. We'll talk about The Slow Midnight on Cypress Avenue. And of course, his amazing career in New York media. Live, ladies and gentlemen, from the Plus Studio, somewhere in the East Coast, in a New York state of mind, going back and forth and everything else. For over 30 years, he's been the pride of New York. Ladies and gentlemen, writer, TV, radio reporter, producer, and the author of the new book, The Slow Midnight on Cypress Avenue, published by Prometa Press, Mike Figliola, or best known as The Freaking Fig. Figs, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Mike, thank you so much for having me. Let me tell you, I got to get a Mike Wagner pillow because I'm not sure I can go to sleep tonight unless I get one of those.
Oh, you know something? Here. We'll have you, just picture.
That is, let me tell you, that is sweet dreams.
I mean,
No, it's really cool, man. That's awesome.
it does. Yeah, it's a hot seller, and you can sleep with me anytime. Not me physically, but that thing. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, even my
Totally.
dog slept on it. If you had cats, I could sleep on it.
You
They
get
might-
everybody, all types. Everyone's sleeping on that thing.
Yes, that's right. And we'll send you a link too, and go ahead and order, and go ahead and
Yeah, cool.
order for your hundreds of friends. So, oh my,
Yep.
you'll definitely sleep good tonight. I'm glad you.
A belated Valentine's gift. Absolutely. I'm
Oh
into it.
yeah, and of course, got Easter, you got Christmas, and whatever else. So it makes a great gift. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you're an amazing guy, writer, TV, radio reporter, producer who's called New York City and the Queens area home for over 30 years. Worked in a number of stations. You wrote hundreds of poems. You also had them read. You also been to a number of Beat Street cafes and more, been featured with quite a few artists as well too. You have a new book, which is a collection of interconnected vignettes called The Slow Midnight on Cypress Avenue, published by Permuted Press. And word is you've got another book out. But first, let's talk about your book and talk about your amazing career. And before getting all that, Figs, tell us how you first got started.
Yeah, Mike, thank you so much again for having me here. So yeah, to go back, backtrack a little to what you first brought up. The radio career is really where I started. I think when I was a kid, my mom and dad are New Yorkers through and through. My dad's from Brooklyn, my mom's from Brooklyn. And the funny thing is, I always tell this story, you sort of emigrate from Brooklyn to Queens. Now, most people don't, if you don't know about New York City, Brooklyn is the borough adjacent to Queens. And they sort of move on, like the Jeffersons, they move on up. You kind of move on up to Queens and kind of leave a little bit, when things get a little dicey in those areas, they move into Queens. So my mom's from Bushwick, my dad's from Williamsburg, and they moved into Queens. So, for me to write about the area I'm writing about, which is Cypress Avenue, that's a thoroughfare, a long avenue that straddles Brooklyn and Queens. And that area there is very much kind of a mishmash of folks. You have the stalwarts that are still there forever, and then you have the kind of the new breed of folks that came in there, sort of these hippies, if you want to say, or what you want to call them. And then you have the transients, and then you have sort of another population of immigrants and other folks who are trying to make their way. And that really resonated with me when I thought about writing the book. But that's really where I come from. My mom was a homemaker, my dad's a cop. My grandfather was in the World War II Navy gunner.
Wow.
He told stories about that. I'm from truckers and cabbie drivers, blue collar folk, right? Real regular people. So that is what is important to me in my prose. A lot of people, they kind of write about Broadway, or they write about Wall Street, or they write about, Williamsburg, where the happening places now, But I like to write about Cypress Avenue and the people that live there, And so when I went down, went back to my roots and started, a lot of my family's still living there, and some of them, they moved away, but in later years, but they were living there and they used to spend time there. When I went back to research, what really spoke to me was the people waiting at the bus stop, the guys sitting on the stoop, sort of with like every day sitting there. I walk by the same guy every day, sitting there, and so he had to be included in my book. And to me, those are folks that are the forgotten. People are not written about or really heralded. And so I wanted to make a book that was palatable to not just New Yorkers, but to anybody across, even the Rust Belt, St. Louis, Cincinnati, Niagara Falls. I don't care where you are, but I think it's about a neighborhood. It's about people struggling, trying to get ahead. It's a darker look at it. But I think at the end of the day, I think we're all in on that. And so what was important to me was to write about those folks, and it's from where I'm from, and that's what I tried to translate on the page.
And you also done some radio as well too, which is also part of your roots too. Being for a long time, you worked just about every station out there: WOR, WINS, WBGO. You also worked with CNBC, MSNBC, and how'd you get first started in radio? It's like just a lot of us got started radio, and not just with this, not just with that, but there's always some form of getting started in radio. Like everybody's got a story in radio. I got to tell you that. So.
I'm so lucky that I started in radio. I think that's really what propelled me to where I am today in my producing and professional career outside of my writing. WOR is one of the oldest stations in the nation. I mean, I actually got to work for John Gambling, which is one of the original morning show radio hosts here. His father and grandfather, there's a lineage of Gamblings that did this since like 1930, you know.
Wow.
And I got to be a part of that. Really lucky. I'm really lucky and blessed to do that. I worked at 1010 Wins. I got to work there for a year or so and got to do that. And WBGO, which is a jazz NPR kind of station, public broadcasting station in Newark, New Jersey. They gave me my first stint as a reporter. So, you know, all of these things, again, and, you know, you don't get to do that. And you don't get to experience all of this kind of stuff in other genres. You know, in radio, they really give you the tools and the ability, like, try it out, kid. Let's see what you can do. Come on, guy, give me a pat on the back. Get in there. Get in there, Rock. You know, go ahead. So I was really lucky to get that opportunity. Radio has been a blessing for me. I have an affinity for it. I wish it was better. Right now, I know a lot of folks
my
are
gosh,
radio.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
you listen to radio still, or
radio veterans. We all agree on that one. I've been doing since 1982. I've been in Greater Chicago, Southern Illinois. I've been in Milwaukee. I've been in Bismarck, North Dakota since 2007, working, you know, at quite a few stations. So I know how that goes. And of course, we can talk about it another time as well. But you know, you got to live, breathe, and everything else. But then you talk about being a reporter. What was that first story that you did? And tell us about that.
Great question. It's a funny one. So I'm literally green. I've done this maybe a couple months, and all of a sudden we get an alert. And again, at the time, now this is 2000. This is, you know, 20 years ago, you know, so I know I don't look it, but it was 20 years ago. I was a little jerk then, whatever, little guy. And
I think many of us were little jerks back then.
And so we get an alert that some maniac climbed up the Brooklyn Bridge, and he climbed the Brooklyn Bridge. They were calling him the Spider-Man. You can Google this.
Oh, yes,
the
that's right.
Spider-Man guy.
What was that French guy that was climbing it? Was that the Spider-Man, or am I thinking of another guy?
That was a different time. This is late. That was later.
Oh,
this
wow.
is like the original Spider-Man guy. And so if you Google it, I think it was like 2001, maybe 2000, right before 9/11. So this guy somehow got up to climb the spires and went all the way up, and the police had to come. And so I'm standing there. Now, I have never done this before. So I had to go live and report and give feedback and tell the anchors. I had never done it. I was scared. I had no idea what I was. I think I even said I was at the wrong place at one point. The best part of the story is, and I think you'll like this, was that the police showed up, obviously, and they were all trying to talk him down. And some guy brought a Heineken and said, "Hey, now if I give you the Heineken, will you come down? At least grab the Heineken." You know, the guy grabbed the Heineken, and they grabbed him off the whatever scaffolding he was on, and they brought him down. So yeah, that was my first real radio.
Oh my gosh, that would have been a great deal too. It's like throwing a slice of New York pizza, and I think he would have got down a lot faster. You'll go down in record time. So I can imagine if I did something like that in radio, like, oh my God, this is a travesty. It made me think you'll go back to the Hindenburg as well too, with that guy from WOLS, was it 1932? And he's like, oh my God, the calamity, the devastation. And of course, you know, me being comments is like, you know, okay, well, the Zeppelin's on fire. What are you going to do about it? It's like, you know, okay, it's like you're going to jump out, or, you know, I mean, I was watching about the whole thing about the Hindenburg, and they said there was like some malfunctions. It was just, you know, poor design and everything else. I was thinking about that. But of course, you know, I'll share my story about an alert as well, too, that I was going to school at Southern Illinois University in Carbondale. Everybody says party school, but I was there just to really learn broadcasting for a couple of years, going to a junior school. And here, you know, those teletypes, you know, the thing go click, 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 click. Yeah. You see on CBS, NBC, ABC, the Lou Grant Show, WKRP, and all that. And then here comes the thing, go ding, 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 ding. And I was a shift producer, and I mentioned one of the news guys, oh, it's dinging. And it says, it had to do with the Challenger, you know, with, you know, Kristen McCoff and the whole crew, you know, the Space Challenger explosion. And it said, the Space Challenger exploded. And I read, the Space Challenger exploded. I says, you better read this. And he looked and went, holy shit, it exploded. And everybody came running into the room. And the news director was like, throwing people out of the way. Get on the air. Get this on the air. And
that
I
was
remember
your first big story?
That was, yeah.
Wow.
It was just like,
oh my goodness.
I was basically just a producer. And
yeah,
I was. And I looked at it and I went, you better read this and verify. We're taught to verify. That's the whole thing with the reporters. You have to verify. Even if your mother says, I love you, you have to verify. So I said, you better verify this and make sure. And he was like, and everybody came flooding in. I almost got trampled that day. So that was my big one right there too. So, and of course, getting back the tragedies as well too, and all the big events. And where were you at the time during the World Trade bombing on 9/11?
Another great question. I don't get asked this much, which is weird because, like I just told you, so I started my career in 2000 at WOR Radio, and the day of 9/11. This is so weird. This is going to be a weird story. I don't think I've told it on the air or anywhere. So I've told friends, but I've not actually spoke about it. So I was supposed to meet the press van at City Hall on 9/11.
Wow.
And the press van was going to take me to an event with then Mayor Rudy Giuliani. And he was at some sort of kind of vanilla event. It was sort of like if you don't make it, who cares kind of thing, and whatever. And you can always get sound later. You always had people that in the news business, this, or the radio or TV business, you have people hey, can I get the sound? You got it early. I missed something or whatever. That was how it was, So I knew if I didn't make this press van and I didn't go to the event that Giuliani said nothing at, the only thing they were going to ask him was, about his divorce with, at the time, Donna Hanover or whatever. It was some kind of like mundane stuff. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, whatever. And I had gone out with some friends the night before and said, yeah, when I get up, I'll go. I'll show up late. I don't need the press van. And so I was living at home. I was with my parents. I was 20 years old, living with my parents at the time. And so I come down the stairs, kind of dressed or whatever. And my father says, hey, you better call your job. A small plane had just crashed into the Trade Center. Now, had I been down there at 8:30, let's say, I would have been at City Hall, which is less than, I don't know, maybe a mile and a half from where the Trade Center once stood. I would have had to go. I don't know what would have happened that day. But I avoided that by somebody was looking out for me. I believe that. And, again, I feel bad for everybody else who had to be down there and do all that, but I missed that. The next day, the 12th, I was down there, and the things I've seen were awful, stuff that I don't like to think about too much or talk about too much, but you could imagine the streets were ashen white from the buildings that had collapsed. There were very unsightly things all over the place, and there was a lot of quiet. And that was the weirdest part to me, Mike, the quiet in Lower Manhattan, which Manhattan is never quiet. So the fact that it was deathly, eerily, disturbingly quiet was what really resonated with me the most. And I knew the world had changed forever at that point.
Wow.
So that's my 9/11 story. Yeah. It's weird. I've never told it. And there you go.
And what happened to the people in the van going to City Hall?
They had already headed out. They weren't going to City Hall. They were being picked up at City Hall to go to this event with the mayor. I don't remember where he was. I think it was, it might have been in Brooklyn. I don't know where it was exactly, except that I know that they had gone there and he got back somehow and then headed to the site.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Yeah, weird, right? Crazy story.
That was, yeah. And of course, you talk about being sick, hungover, and everything else. My family was not involved in any way, shape, or form, but I did work with a couple of people whose family members and associates were indirectly involved. And I had a guy worked with his second cousin worked as an accountant in the trade, and he called in sick, and his replacement showed up. And we found out that the trade went down. His replacement went with it, and he really felt bad. And then there was another family that I associated with, and they're looking for this big multi-million-dollar deal. They're up in the 120th, and they're like this close to closing the deal. And by the time they're getting ready to close the deal, dead. The phones went dead. And of course, so the whole business. And I thought, wow, it's like everything did change on 9/11. I have to say that. So this is some of the news stories as well, too. And talk about getting started in 2001 and more as well, too. And we'll also talk about getting more into radio. We'll talk about poetry as well, too. You wrote about it, and we'll talk about your book, The Slow Midnight on Cypress Avenue. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all you need. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. It's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@SonicWebStudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is an illusion and those you love will be the first to go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has garnered great reviews and even endorsed by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today before it goes missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show on over 30 podcast platforms. Take the Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia for great books, merchandise, and more. Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia. And don't forget to check out support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Make sure you give generously today. We're here with the amazing writer, TV, radio reporter, and producer out of New York City and the Queens area for over 30 years, and the author of the new book, The Slow Midnight on Cypress Avenue by Permitted Press, Mike Figliola, best known as a freaking fig here on the Mike Wagner Show, Figs. And you also wrote some poetry as well, too, besides some stories. And maybe before we get some of your poetry, and what are some more interesting stories that you've done? And maybe like a really funny story you did in the news business, like something that was like really unusual.
God, there's so many. I mean, when you work in New York, you really never know who you're going to come across, right? I mean, it's just, I remember in 2011, we interviewed some guy that said the world was going to end. He was wearing a sign or something, the world's ending today. And I don't know, he had some cult following. That was weird. You know what else was really strange? Hurricane Sandy.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And let me tell you, I'll tell you a couple of things that, it's not as funny as that, it's a little bizarre kind of thing. But I'll tell you, when I did Hurricane Sandy, we did not shut down. WR stayed open the entire time, although we were in the flood zone. So Manhattan had flood zones, believe it or not. They were like, which is probably going to be the reality on the go forward. But lower Manhattan, which is where WR Studios had moved from. So WR was at 1440 Broadway for like 100 years. I mean, you're talking like Gene Shepard broadcasted back there. That was where he broadcasted from. We moved down to 111 Broadway. I actually had worked at 1440, but we moved down to 111, and that was a Wall Street area.
Oh,
and
wow.
So that day we you had to come in. They told me, you sleep in your studio. We'll provide whatever we can for you, but stay over. Don't leave, because we're the first line of defense here. In New York, we have to tell everybody what's going on. Everyone saw their radios or some kind of ham radio or some sort of whatever. And we stayed, and I'll tell you, in the middle of the night, I went down the stairs, got up, I couldn't sleep, I was tired, it was days. And I went down into the Whitehall train station. Now, Whitehall is one of the last stops in Lower Manhattan before you it goes underground again and heads back into Brooklyn, I guess. Anyway, when I went down the stairs, and there was a river of water. I'm telling you, a river coming through the tunnel where the train would be. It was a river. Wow. And I watched it, and I looked at it, and I got scared. I said, oh my God, what is this? I ended up going back upstairs and said to my friend who was waiting at the top, do not go down there. This is getting flooded. There was a river going through, and he went down anyway. But the point is, I still told him not to go. He went, looked at it for himself, and he knew this was bad news. So yes, Sandy, that was a wild story in radio that I lived through, I worked through, and I'm glad I did. And radio's a funny thing. Like, there's so many avenues you can go down. Where there's stuff where you report on scene. There's stuff where you just do things. Here's another funny, crazy story that I did. Remember the Boston bomber, that crazy guy the two brothers up in Boston?
Oh yeah, I remember the Boston
Marathon.
bomber. Oh my
Marathon
God,
guys,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. I cold called a neighbor that was, I found out that they thought the Boston, one of the brothers was on the street, called her and said, hey, what's going on in your block? She got her on the phone. I said, would you go on the air? She got on the air. And as she was on the air, she said, oh my God, a SWAT team is coming down my street. Woo. It was such a weird stuff, right? And it was happening real time. And they ended up finding the brother, I forget his name, Zarnaev or whatever, in one of the backyards on that. So yeah, radio's great, and it's a medium you can't do it with anything else, and it's a lot of fun. And I'm blessed to have been a part of it.
And certainly a lot of fun too. And you also write some poems as well too, and had them featured, and also with some great people, and tell us some about it.
Yeah. So I've always believed in reading poetry live. I think it's a great thing. I started as a poet. Basically that's where the Slow Midnight on Cypress Avenue, my book that we've been talking about, that came from a poem that I wrote. It's funny, one of these guys I read with said, hey, if you don't turn that book into that title, the Slow Midnight on Cypress Avenue, into a book, I'm going to do it. And I said, oh, geez, I better get on this thing. He's a writer. He's good. So he was right. It was a great call. And, Bermuda Press came calling afterwards. But, I've read at some great places. I've read with John Ventimiglia, who you mentioned earlier, who's a Sopranos. He's in the Sopranos. He plays Artie Bucco. I got to read with him. David Amram, who's a very close friend of Jack Kerouac, who came from the Beat generation. He invited me to do that. Kevin Twigg, who's a very famous jazz drummer. And so I got to do this live on stage at the Cornelia Street Cafe, which you mentioned earlier as well, which is it's not there anymore. It closed down, unfortunately, like a lot of places in New York, especially with the pandemic. So I got to do that. I was lucky to do that. And poetry is, my first love. I think that if I could write it forever, it gives you a little chance to kind of scream a little and get it all out. And then when you go to the novel writing, you have to kind of hone yourself a little and make it sort of coherent. You can't just scream and yell, but with the novel is a little different. But poetry has been a big deal. And I got a writing scholarship when I went to my college on poetry. So
nice.
Yeah, it's been very connected on my life. Yeah.
Very nice too. And of course, you also had that book, The Slow Midnight on Cypress Avenue, and broken into 3 parts: morning, afternoon, and night. And you got some great characters in there. You got Samuel Jean. You also got Desponda Dizzy Riviera, and also Oldie Goldie Samuels. I love that name.
Yeah.
Just tell us about a bit about it, especially morning, afternoon, night, and just like a little bit of stories here, there, everything, and
Sure.
just maybe a little bit of true stories, and just go ahead and share away with us. It's like I wish I was in New York right now with you, just taking in, with a big old New York sliced pizza and everything like that. So
yeah, no, it's again, thank you for that. It's the characters are built on experiences and people I've met, and they're not based on one person. Old Goldie Samuels is somebody that I based it on a couple different people. But she's sort of like the neighborhood old woman who kind of like spins some yarns and spends time at the liquor store, and you'll see her at the grocery store, and you'll see her all over the place. And she's one of those folks. When I really, like I said earlier, when we first started the interview, I really want to write about regular folks. So, Desi is a little Puerto Rican girl who lives at home with her mother, and she's sort of broke, and she doesn't know where her life is heading. And she hangs out with this old guy, Sam Jean, who's sort of like a father figure to her because she never had a father. And they have this weird relationship, where, she kind of shows up and he's kind of grumpy and miserly, and she's happy to be there, but he's not happy to be there, happy for her to be there, but all of a sudden she leaves and he wants her back. It's sort of like this dichotomy that I tried to paint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Of people who need each other, but try to pretend that they don't. But I think that's kind of how society is, right? Like, even with your friends, sometimes, I'm sure you have these friends who are like, oh, it would be great to hang out. Good to see. And then you don't hear from them anymore. But then they get kind of pissed if you don't talk to them for a while. So I kind of try to capture that. And I really want an authentic look at Ridgewood and Queens and Cypress Avenue and these folks, because I wanted them to be the anti-Broadway, the anti-Wall Street, the anti-Midtown, the anti-anywhere. I wanted them to be the regular people. Desi has pocket change. She uses a payphone, stuff like that. Like, that was important to me to get in there. Like, they talk about ash cans and things that, like sort of yesteryear talk, which is important to me. I think it's still around, but people don't pay much mind to it. And I wanted to highlight that and make sure we put it back in the forefront of the book.
Mm-hmm. And what do you feel is the overall message of the book?
I think that we're all neighbors and we're all interconnected at the end of the day. And I think that, when I grew up, when there was a blackout on my street, I know, again, I don't know where you grew up, but either way, when the lights went out at night or blackout went out, my parents would sit on the stoop, it might be your porch or your stepway, whatever. We would sit out there. My mom would have a cup of coffee. My dad would sit out there and we'd send us out to play. That doesn't exist anymore. And I was hoping this book would be a love letter to that sort of time and place where people spent time outside and looking at each other. And, I don't see kids playing out on the street anymore at all.
Oh,
that
my gosh.
Me,
Oh,
right. Does it bother you?
It's sad. I have 4 kids myself. They're all grown. And, whenever we get a chance, free time and everything, I always took them to parks. We always hung out outside. Nowadays, with all the stuff that's going on, kids just, they revert to their phones, their laptops, iPhones, and Fitbits, every gadget out there. Right. It's just like, you only see playgrounds out there anymore. If they're on a playground, they're always like, play with their apps, text, everything like that. It's like, yeah, it is really sad. And then I look at it, it's just like, I remember days where it's like, especially on Saturday nights in the summer, you were never in the house. You had to be outside. You played ball until like sunset. And
that's not because you had a bad home life. That's because you enjoyed being outside. Me too. My mom and dad they said, go out and have a good time. I knew when to come home, but the kids today, they're not out there doing that, which I know, I think that's unfortunate. I really do.
And that is rather sad too. And of course, you're right. It's just encouraging people to get out there when they have a book and everything. And what was the most challenging part about the book for you?
I think for me, so I wrote it in vignette form, and the challenging part of that was writing in all these different voices. So I write in a Southern Baptist minister voice, which I had to really work at. It really took a long time to do. I also write these 2 coming of age adolescent girls. They decide to, I don't want to give too much away, they decide to reconsider their life on Cypress Avenue because they realize it's going nowhere. And so to write in those voices was really difficult. I mean, to take that on. But I'm most proud of those 2 characters, Father John White and then Lorraine and Lolly, who you'll meet. Lolly was my mom's best friend growing up, by the way. And I use that name in there. My grandmother's name is Lorraine. So I really love those. And I put those in there. And those 2 characters, one character, the other 2 all together. I mean, that was difficult to write because it was just, I had never done it, and I had to really put my mind frame into that, that voice and everything. I just put it forward. It was difficult, but I think it came through okay. In the audiobook, Peter Burkrot did my book, and man, Peter was in Caddyshack, which is really cool.
Oh, and I love Caddyshack. That was my favorite movie. Yes.
He's like an extra in it, but he did the audiobook for me and he nailed it. He did a great job. But
oh my gosh. Oh, that's so amazing. What was your favorite story in the book?
I wrote a chapter called Sons, and I wrote it in 3 pieces about relationships of sons with their father. And I took it from 3 different vantage points. One guy's a postman, one guy's a coach that wants to talk to his son who's was a baseball player. You know, and I tried to weave all of them together in a weird way. I actually, you know, submitted that to The Atlantic as almost its own standalone book, like standalone story, which they didn't accept because they, you know, hoity-toity Atlantic.
Right.
Yeah. You know, it's okay.
I read
I wasn't offended. They wrote me back at least, which was nice. But that son's chapter is probably one of my favorite ones. So if you're a dad or you're an uncle, or you're a brother, or you're your son, hope you read it and maybe take a little something from it.
We certainly will too. And also, I was going to ask you this, but I think we got sidetracked with all the great stories being in radio, New York, and everything. Who are some of your favorite authors and writers growing up?
Yeah, so I have many. I am a big Hemingway fan off the bat, across the board. Jack Kerouac, William Burroughs, a lot of the beat guys. Charles Bukowski is one of my most favorites of all time. You know, I was really blessed when, you know, Henry Miller is, you know, a god. You know, he's this guy, and Doug Brinkley, who I don't know if you know Doug. He's a presidential historian. He's the executor of the Hunter S. Thompson estate. He's just like he's a big deal. He's a big guy, important person. He's always consulted on different things. He compared me to Henry Miller.
Really?
And yeah, and that was honestly, I don't deserve that. I am beyond appreciative of him. But he put that into writing. He said, why don't you put that on your book? I believe in you. I think you are, you know, and that was a really, so, you know, a guy like Henry Miller, who I love, and to have Doug Brinkley say that about my work was pretty cool. So, you know, I had the whole gamut, right? I had Doug Brinkley telling me I'm Henry Miller, and then I got Lenny Dykstra saying that, you know, nobody knows better New York. When I was prowling the city, Shea Stadium in center field, Mike Fig is the great, like, it's some weird thing, you know, like, but again, I'm so happy to have that kind of thing. But
oh
yeah,
my
but
gosh,
guys like Miller and all that, yeah, those are my favorite.
Boy, getting an endorsement from Lenny Dykstra, that had to be like the cream of the crop. It's like, oh my gosh.
I'm a diehard Mets. Are you a Mets fan?
Well,
No.
actually,
No, you're probably a Cubs fan.
I am a Cubs fan, but I still remember that time from 84 up to 85, 86.
Ryan
It went
Sandberg,
back
baby.
and forth.
Ryan
Yes. And Dwight Gooden for you guys. And Wally Backman, Keith Hernandez. But you know what? I have to say this. Ron Darling was one of my favorites because
he's a great pitcher,
they were airing RC commercial in Chicago, which is Royal Crown Cola.
RC Cola?
RC Cola, yes. And
he
was in it.
I love RC Cola.
that was the cheapest there was. And Pepsi was expensive, Coke was expensive. You got RC and those Shasta cost like a freaking dime or a nickel from a vending machine. And of course, you know, he was up like this. It's like some people prefer a taste of Pepsi. Ron's like, some people prefer a taste of Coke. Some people prefer a taste of RC. And he was nodding his head, says, that was spot on, Ron Darling.
How about your announcer there, man? You know, the glasses.
Oh, Harry Carey.
Oh, Harry Carey.
God, yes. Oh,
you can't
what
beat
a
that,
character.
huh?
Harry Carey here, back at the Wrigley Field. And here was a backstory too. But when he was doing you know, baseball for the St. Louis Cardinals, he was drinking Budweiser like crazy, like, you know, during the games. And here's little Brock up the plate. And then when he got called to do the Chicago White Sox, he had to do Falstaff beer. But he did not like Falstaff. What it was this Falstaff can? It was Budweiser. He was drinking that, and he was like, "Screw Falstaff." And then he
is that real? Is that a true story?
What's that?
Is that real? Is that a true story?
That was a true story. Yeah, and somebody was telling me that. And the funny part about the Cubs, and I remember I was working at a store in Woodfield Mall, and by the time they're ready to close, it was Rick Sutcliffe throwing the last strike to
Sutcliffe, great pitcher.
Oh, he was amazing. 17-1 that year. And it was one of the Pirates goes, Cubs win the division. And we're getting ready to close. I'm like, oh, thank God I was working. I get to be in a TV department and watch the Cubs win the division that year.
That's wild.
Oh,
man, you had some great ball players. The Hawk was on that team. And, you know, the Mark Grace and just Ron Say and
Oh,
it's just so many.
Ron said it was amazing. Jody
guys, yeah.
Davis, Keith Moreland, which I almost caught
Yeah,
a home
Keith
run
Moreland.
from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Moreland.
Jody
was
Davis
great.
behind the plate.
Yeah,
there's some great ball players.
And I'm trying to think some of the other pitchers on there. I'm trying to think of their reliever. But we went to Cubs games, that year. They they won the division, and everybody was saying, "Oh, they should have won the pennant." But you know something? It was Major League Baseball that screwed them over because the Cubs did not have lights. And it's just like, 3 games end up in San Diego. They lost. Leon Durham let the ball go with his legs. And
Leon Durham, great.
Yeah. Player. And then Bill Buckner pulled off the same feat. I think Hernandez almost did the same thing too. It's like first baseman. It's like, boy, that's like a graveyard for your career if you let your ball go through the legs. Oh my God. Yes. Yeah. And I remember that. And I said, it was not the Cubs that was blowing it. San Diego did not get lucky. It was Major League Baseball that screwed them over. It's like, I mean, we manhandled the Padres in the first 2 games, and it was the third. We could took on the Tigers. That was a much better matchup than the Padres. But you know something?
I know.
Oh my God. But fast forward to 2016, it was just like our prayers have been answered. We beat Cleveland 4 games to 3. We're up to like 1 a.m. watching Game 7 at a Buffalo Wild Wings. There's a handful of Cub fans, a group of pastors from Cleveland, and they're like, good sports. And it came up and go, hey, great game. I says, God bless you guys. We're going to pray for your Indians to win it next year so they can shut up about not winning.
Yeah. What a wild World Series that was between 2 teams that were like, hadn't won in 100 years or whatever it was.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And then the Cubs look back and say, it was a good thing of rain delay. We can just calm down after Chili Davis put the Indians up ahead. And that would have been like another folklore, but that became insignificant. And then Indians fans were like, that guy should have been at second base. All that. So
let me tell you, I try to incorporate baseball in my writing all the time. I think that it's just a game of beautiful chance and madness, and you never know what's going to happen. I hate people that say it's a slow game. I think it's just paced just right, because it's you get a little break. You can watch pitches with finesse, plays being made. Sometimes there's no score. Sometimes there's tons of runs, and the home run doesn't do it for me. Can I ask you one baseball thing? And I know we will get off this and get back to the other stuff.
Oh, absolutely. It's like, I love talking about this stuff. It makes more of an essence of it, but go ahead. I'm all in.
All right. I am a huge believer that Fred McGriff, you know what Fred McGriff is?
I remember. Yeah. Toronto Blue Jays, Atlanta Braves. And I'm trying to think.
Crime dog.
Yes. Crime dog. That's right.
493 home runs. 493 home runs. He's got, I don't know, 2,500 hits, maybe something like that. How is this man not in the Hall of Fame? I have no idea how Jim Rice is 417. I love Jim Rice. Put Jim Rice in the Hall of Fame, fine. But how is Fred McGriff not in the Hall of Fame? How is Ryan Sandberg in the Hall of Fame over Fred McGriff? Again, Ryan Sandberg should be in the Hall of Fame. But numbers-wise, Fred McGriff, I don't get it.
You know something? I didn't think about this either about Fred McGriff. Yeah. Now you mentioned, I'll do some research. It's maybe because the teams were on, the circumstances and whatever else. I'm sure he'll get his due in the Hall of Fame, but Ryan Sandberg, right. And Ryan Sandberg was understandable. And here's a funny story about Ryan Sandberg, where he was like 0 for 27 for finally getting a hit and then had a great career. And here was a story about with him being on the Phillies. And I mean, the Cubs literally stole Ryan Sandberg from the Phillies. They had Ivan DeJesus. And Philly fans were like, oh, we got the Jesus. We're like, suckers.
Yeah. Oh, my God. What a bad deal. It was like when the Mets traded Seaver away and got nothing. I mean, they got some bunch of scrubs, basically, from Cincinnati. But anyway, I digress.
And of course, with Cincinnati, it's just like, who knew they're going to be, the way they were and everything. He ended up winning, a World Series, 75, 76, the big red machine. Oh, my gosh. I still remember that. Yes. Wow. And the Yankees, Reggie Jackson, 3 home runs. And the last one went in the third deck. Oh. And I had to write a story on that, just getting the school paper.
Really?
Yes.
Is it painful to write about the Yankees? Because I hate them.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, I'm not a big White Sox fan, but you know something? I'd love to have you back on as well too. We'll talk baseball. I got some baseball experts.
Yeah, sounds great.
That does. And also too, like when, of course, with your book as well too, maybe just a little baseball story or baseball poem from your book, or if you wrote one, you can do that too. It's like, I'm ready for baseball right now. So.
Oh, me too. I'm waiting, without spring training around the corner, I'm confused. To be honest, I am so waiting for them to settle this crap and get the season going.
Exactly. Yeah. And in the meantime, you're with baseball and radio and everything else. Where can we find your book, The Slow Midnight on Cypress Avenue at?
Yeah, so you can go on Amazon and find it. Barnes and Nobles has it. It's in bookstores and across the country in some place, little shops and things. I don't know the exact ones, but definitely look online. You can find me on Instagram. I'm at Mike A Figs and Mike Figs on Twitter. And yeah, you can find me there. You can do all that. Connect with me, please. Happy to be a part of it. I have a new book that I've written that I'm searching for a home for right now, to get the right home and get the right development with. And this is here's the cover for it. It's a sticker I have made up. It's called Finest Flying Without You.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know something? We'll talk about that in just 1 minute, maybe just a sneak peek of the book. You listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Also brought to you by our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international war-ring author Mia Molson's The Missing, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. We'll be back with author Mike Figliola of The Slow Midnight on Cypress Avenue with his upcoming book after this time out.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hey everybody, my name is Forbes Riley, and I'm an American actress and a TV host. And I was delighted when I got my copy of Missing, which is Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People based on a real life relationship. It's well written. It's amazing. It talks about a man who has lost his wife and his daughter, and it's very well done. I'm going to highly recommend that you go get your copy of Missing. It is a powerful, exciting read. Mr. Mian Moshe Zia. He is the author of Missing. And I want to give a big shout out and a kiss all the way halfway around the world to my dear friend. Check him out at Mia's website. It's called www.miamotionzea.com. Missing, available on Amazon. Again, I'm Forbes Riley, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Hey, this is Ray Powers, and boy, are you in luck. Right place, right time. Tuned in to the Mike Wagner Show. You heard me.
We're back with author Mike Figliola of The Slow Midnight on Cypress Avenue, radio veteran for 30 years on the Mike Wagner Show. Let's talk more about the book, Fine is Flying Without You, maybe just a sneak peek of the book. And this looks really good, too, along with The Slow Midnight.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, so this is set in the same literary universe as Cypress Avenue. It's set in Queens. It's about neighborhood people again. But this one is less about vignettes, sort of like standalone little chapters that give you a glimpse into each character. This one is more about one character and his journey from point A to B. The thought process for me on this one was, I think everybody goes through a midlife crisis at some point where they want to leave where they are or test the waters. This is someone that, that's where the fine is flying without you comes from. Hey, I don't need you. I'm going. I'm out of here. And then you realize when you're halfway down the road or more than halfway, I made a mistake, damn, I got to get back to where I was. And so this is the journey of this guy kind of revisiting his past. When you're romanticized sort of when you're younger and say, oh man, remember when I did this? Man, that was great. This is the guy that actually gets to go and revisit it and then realize what the truth of it was. And so that's what I wanted to do, as a story set in Queens again, set in like the same sort of streets and the subways and all that. And paint that picture again. So that's what this one's about, and I'm hoping for a summertime release.
Okay, and you say a summertime release, sometime in the year as well too. And what else can we expect from you in 2022 and beyond else, Mike?
Oh yeah, I'm hoping so my book, the Slow Midnight on Cypress Avenue. I'm hoping that I'm really trying to develop that into either a movie or a TV show. Some mutual friends of ours are talking about that, so we'll see where that goes down the line. But really, I really want to continue writing books. Like that's really what's important to me. I'm happy with my radio and TV career, and I want to continue doing that. But at the end of the day, I really love writing books, and I hope I can, get the opportunity. Look, I'm blessed to have someone say, hey, yes, your book is really good. It needs to be out there. And this one sold very well, thank God. And so, hopefully that translates into something else bigger. And if I can keep writing for the rest of my life, I'll be happy.
And we're certainly looking forward to it. You got some great work, Figs. And who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
Oh, boy. Biggest influence on my career. I mean, I guess it's so varied, Mike. There's some things, aspects of radio and baseball and music. I mean, I think music affects me the most.
Oh, wow.
I'm a huge John Lennon guy. I like rock music. I like heavier music. I like ambient music. That's really, it's something interesting. I'll tell you real quick. I write, and when I write, I like to have a lot of stimuli on around me. Music is one of those things I constantly have on. And so it could be noir jazz to John Lennon to a band like Deftones or like something.
Oh, wow.
Anything. I just like the music, probably what drives my writing the most. And the streets of New York and being amongst the people. So those two things really, I would say, the most influences: music and the streets and people in New York.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And when your new book comes out as well, too, Fine is Flying Without, we would love to have you on, talk music and more. So that'd be very interesting. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
It's something I was told: don't stop, keep going, keep an ember burning. Like, keep, when it seems the worst, just keep writing and write for you. Don't ever write for anyone else. Continue going and keep that ember burning. And eventually, look, it took me 20 years to get here, really, like where I've been trying to get published for a long time. I finally wrote the right book and the right person said yes. And so just keep that ember burning, keep it going.
We certainly will do so. And we're looking forward to it. Once again, author Mike Figliola here on the Mike Wagner Show at the Slow Midnight on Sappers Avenue and more. Your radio veteran for 30 years. It's been great. Mike, a very big thank you for your time. You've been totally amazing. Learned a lot from you. We got to get out some time and share some stories. Looking forward to having again soon. Make sure you keep us up to date. Keep in touch. We'd love to have you back. And once again, tell us about your upcoming projects. What's your website? How do people contact you? Where can people purchase or check out your book?
You can go down to Instagram, Mike A. Figs, Twitter, Mike Figs, at Mike Figs. Just Google Slow Midnight on Cypress Avenue. You can find me. And Mike, I really appreciate you inviting me into your program. This was really a lot of fun. I didn't know your baseball background and different things. So chatting with you was really was a treat. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's amazing too. And of course, we got to do it again where it's like we have a book out. We'll talk more baseball, music and everything. Sure. And maybe we'll have like the Mets and the Cubs in the background. So we'll work on that and maybe get out to a ball game. Yeah. Minor leagues are fine too, as we mentioned. Trenton, Staten Island, Coney Island, all that. So we certainly will do so. Yes. Once again, Figs, a very big thank you for your time. You've been totally amazing. Learned a lot. Looking forward to having again soon. Make sure you keep us up to date. Keep in touch. We'd love to have you back. We wish you all the best. And you definitely have a great future ahead of you.
Oh, thank you, man. It's been a blast. Thank you for having me.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hey everybody, my name is Forbes Riley and I'm an American actress and a TV host. And I was delighted when I got my copy of Missing, which is Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People based on a real life relationship. It's well written. It's amazing. It talks about a man who has lost his wife and his daughter, and it's very well done. I'm going to highly recommend that you go get your copy of Missing. It is a powerful, exciting read. Mr. Mian Moshe Zia. He is the author of Missing. And I want to give a big shout out and a kiss all the way halfway around the world to my dear friend. Check him out at Mia's website. It's called www.miamotionsea.com. Missing, available on Amazon. Again, I'm Forbes Riley, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Please support our program with your donations at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again next time for another great episode of The Mike Wagner Show.